Today, I will be talking about funding the possibility of tackling depression through the treatment of obesity. Another way to think about that today is if it's possible for us to free two birds with one key. Okay, so let's start here. I want you to take a look at the images on the screen and just think about what is familiar to you. The likelihood that you've seen these exact images is probably low, um, but the likelihood that you've seen something at least similar to it is, I want to say, close to 100%. That's how prevalent these images are. Okay, and a common presentation or common place you might see these is on social media or ads while you're watching TV, ads while you're watching videos. These are common messages that are really becoming part of our culture today. It also has now ventured into the workplace. So workplaces now create spaces that are focused on mental health. There are publications, there are trainings, many different ways that workplaces try to address mental health. They're making changes in their company policies, they're promoting awareness through campaigns. They're offering more services and resources around mental health. They even bring in professionals and speakers. So there's a whole array of how the workplace is also addressing mental health. And lastly, you have schools. It's also become pretty common in schools, K 12 schools, to address mental health. Um, many schools today now have wellness centers, and those wellness centers are focused on topics around mental health. Okay, so now that we've established how prevalent that is a focus in our society, let's take a look at what is the evidence that is establishing the rationale for that movement. If we looked at the messages of self-care and mental health, think about taking care of yourself before you take care of someone else. All of those things have really been amplified in recent years. And we need to think about, well, why is that the case? So let's take a look at some numbers. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, about 46 million adults have mental illness. So that's about 20% of all the adults in the United States. So that's a pretty significant chunk. Okay. And then we can whittle down those numbers. So this is kind of big picture. And when we can break it down even further. So then we see that women outnumber men across mental health diagnoses. So there's an array of diagnoses that fall under the umbrella of mental health, and women outnumber men consistently in those areas. And then we'll get even more specific and let's settle on the lens of depression. So if we just look at depression specifically, women are more likely to be depressed than men at all ages and ethnicities. And that's pretty significant. So we started at big picture. Generally, we have a high number of people struggling with mental illness. And then we get more specific, and we're starting to really see, at least when we dive into the details of depression, that women are significantly represented here. Okay, so just pause with me. Let's take a look at obesity now. You might think I'm making a leap, but I'm going to try and draw a connection here. While mental health has become amplified in more recent years, obesity is older than that. It started to become a hot topic across not just the United States, but the world in the 90s. And still today, many countries struggle with obesity, specifically the United States. Okay, so these images may not look familiar to you, they differ based on your region, but they are representative of this crisis of obesity.